evening and welcome to News Hour. Coming up in this edition, President Bio pledges full government support for revival of Sierra Town. Some residents of Freetown sound alarm for proper waste management ahead of the rainy season. And APC leadership meets with President Bio at State House. All these stories and more lined up in this edition of News Hour. Stay with us for the next hour. My name is Daphne Zainab Kamara. First on News Hour tonight, the leadership of the APC party, including some of their members of parliament, have met with President Julius Maada Bio at State House. The delegation was led by the acting national chairman, Ambassador Alhaji Usman Fudeyan Saneh. The visit comes following the return of APC MPs, mayors, and councillors to governance after weeks of boycott over concerns in governance. The meeting marks a shift in tone after a prolonged standoff between the opposition and the government. For instance, APC lawmakers had stayed away from parliamentary proceedings, citing dissatisfaction with the appointment of the Electoral Commission chairman. Now back in Parliament, the MPs say they are ready to re-engage on national issues. During the meeting at State House, acting national chairman pledged to foster dialogue and cooperation with President Bio in the national interest. They say their focus is to work in the interest of national development and stability. The president welcomed the delegation and emphasized the need for dialogue and collaboration across party lines. The engagement is being seen as a step towards easing political tensions and strengthening cooperation between the government and the opposition. From the presidency, we now move to Parliament. Earlier, the leader of the opposition, Honorable Abdul Kago, has urged that the latest communique signed by them and the government leading to their return to Parliament be honored. Our parliamentary correspondent, Dennis Fraser, has more.
In all parliaments, if now because of minority, majority, people and they say, no, you're not minority, they participate. No parliament not in the world where go participate. Because the only parliament in recent times where I know say opposition and ruling bed get the same number and have been Ghana in their last parliament. 27, and then get one independent, we later choose for joint government. You understand? But in any parliament, you get majority, you get minority. Minority can lose the votes, but it does not mean they're not for make them position clear. It does not mean they're not for get and see. It does not mean they're not, because for posterity sake, when the country goes bad, you get who the whole responsibility. It's not boycott because we feel for boycott. Of course, Sierra Leone is measured for every bad reason when it comes to transparent elections, when it comes to free and fair elections. Again, we will meet with the moral guarantors, because let's tell you about elections, the worst the service you can give to the people of this country, now where you give them a result way different from waiting them vote. If the people them vote say, we want you for lead we, and at the end of the day, other person emerge as the winner. That's the worst disservice you can ever do to the people. So the people are very conscious of what happened in the past elections. You don't believe I mean, I've been counting officer. I was in the Tale Center, Napot Local, where they cover 3 districts in the northwest. We get Cambia, we get Karine, then we get Port Local. You know, we were in the middle of counting when they came with Cambia, the boxes from Cambia. We not even open one single box from Cambia. Then they read 60% of the stations. We contain 318 stations from Cambia, where we not even counted it. So the people are worried that they will not want to cast their vote, and at the end of the day, we not able to account for the votes where the people will cast. Various positions and various stands. We are an integral part to the Parliament of Sierra Leone. Remember, there are only 2 political parties in the Parliament of Sierra Leone. If one no the na monologue, then go they get. Then go they soliloquize. Then go they soliloquize.
In a similar vein, outside the 4 walls of the chambers of Parliament, legislators from the opposition APC gathered in the office of their leader in order to brief journalists on the resumption of their normal parliamentary attendance after weeks of boycott. The leader, Honorable Abdul Kabo, stated that the APC boycotted Parliament in order to force reforms and succeeded in getting commitments on ECSL restructuring, tripartite implementation, and therefore the party was back in Parliament to legislate and monitor the process on electoral reforms. He said despite the demands to remove ECSL Commissioner Edmond Alpha failed, it is still a process they are looking forward to. Here is an excerpt of the press brief.
That I'm extremely proud of you for coming back to this well.
The Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Segepo Solomon Thomas, commended the opposition MPs for returning to parliamentary proceedings and national affairs. He told them they were elected by their people and that they have a national duty to serve. He called on them to use their voices in the well of Parliament to address the concerns of the people.
You were elected by your people to represent them, and there is nothing that should take you away. So I'm proud of you. What you have done is extremely noble, and I urge you to continue to represent your people and use your voices in this way. If there is anything you want to address for your people, it is your place to come to this house, to use your voice to advocate for your people. Let me say I'm gratified that you're coming back, and we move on.
The leader of the opposition, Honorable Abu Kabo, urged that the communique signed leading to their return to Parliament be honoured. This includes the laying of the Agreement for National Unity in Parliament and the establishment of a committee to exercise oversight of the elections management body.
We have shown the exemplary leadership for which we be grateful. And similarly, we want to advise that the community that was signed return to Parliament is honoured.
Speaker Thomas acknowledged his call and promised to meet with the leadership of Parliament on the issues as soon as the leaders on the government bench return from other international parliamentary duties. Meanwhile, lawmakers debated the Sierra Leone community-based mangrove conservation and restoration project, simple, equitable, and a revenue sharing agreement. According to the Minister of Environment, Jiro Abdullahi, the agreement provided for 40% of the top priority revenue in the targeted communities. He said the move was a mitigating action against climate change. Minister Abdullahi told lawmakers that he would ensure the full protection of the interests of communities involved.
Our communities are being exposed to the effects of climate change, the rising sea levels. Our communities are seeing a reduction in the catch that they get of fish. Their very livelihoods are being affected negatively by the depletion of these mangroves. And as a responsible government, we saw it fit to try to protect that as much as possible.
Although the agreement was not contentious and yielded support from both sides of the aisle, the question by Mr. Speaker to vote in favor or otherwise was put on hold and requested for better clarifications at a later date. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
Heavy rainfall accompanied by strong winds disrupted movement in the eastern part of Freetown in the early hours of Tuesday, 5th May 2026. It began at around 5 a.m. and left a trail of debris at Bafana Bridge along Poti on Baibura Road, blocking one lane of traffic. Christiana Kamara has more.
The situation forced motorists and pedestrians to share the one lane that was free from debris. This led to heavy traffic congestion along Baibura Road, a major route in the east end of the capital. Residents blamed the incident on poor waste management. They accused some people from nearby communities, including Kuntolo and Poti markets, of dumping waste indiscriminately. They also said some clean salon boys usually dispose waste into drainages along the streets. Traders raised concerns over the misuse of waste collection bins provided by the Freetown City Council. They said stagnant water around the bin produced an offensive odor and posed health risks.
In
the past, there was a group responsible for apprehending young people who dumped waste on the streets and ensuring they were punished. However, that group has since been disbanded. If communities can now take on the role of watchdogs, monitoring and reporting those who remove dirt from the compounds and dispose of it on the streets, it will go a long way in supporting government's effort in maintaining cleanliness.
At least we back we will help the government that side to oversee them over there. Many people continue to put nothing at it.
Council put things in place for them over there where they do.
If the council enforces strict measures against individuals who dump waste into gutters, such as arresting offenders, imposing fines of 5 million oleons, or even custodial sentences, it would serve as a strong deterrent and help bring about positive change.
A businesswoman and former member of parliament for constituency 116, Ariatu Kamara, called for increased public sensitization, stressing the need for residents to understand proper waste disposal and the importance of paying the collection fee. Freetown's mayor, Yvonne Akisoya, visited the scene with her team and condemned the practice of handing over waste to unregulated individuals. She said such actions undermined ongoing sanitation efforts under the Dirty Must Go campaign.
That to solve the problems of our city, we must look at the underlying causes. So Mayor has for the longest time been advocating for devolution function of land use planning and building permits. And some people will know that an act was passed last year to pass that function, not just to City Council, but to McCaney City Council, to Kenema City Council, to Pujahu District Council, to Bomb City Council. That facility, that function has been devolved again on paper. We're waiting for the regulations.
She assured that the council was working to clear the debris within 24 hours and appealed to residents to dispose of their waste properly. Meanwhile, youths in the area joined efforts to clear the debris as authorities awaited heavy equipment to fully open up the affected lane. SLBC News are in Freetown. Christiana Kamari reporting.
Also, Jory and Dumbuya visited Samba Gutter area in the central part of Freetown and now reports.
At the Central Business District, concerns are mounting over the illegal dumping of waste. Residents along the PWD area and the central of Freetown are sounding the alarm of potential flash floods if measures are not put in place in cleaning up gutters. Samba Gutter is known for overflowing whenever it rains heavily. Residents in the area say the size of the gutter is too small to hold the volume of water, waste and debit because of the population size of Freetown.
We want the government to put a stop to clean salon boys because they throw dirty anywhere when people are not watching them. That is one reason why there is flooding and waste on the streets.
When they turn inside this gutter and then drainage, also when they turn inside, it cause problem.
When Samba Gutter overflow, it often destroys businesses.
We really don't get water ready for flow. As you can see, this bishop here and the other, any here the other, because the water where they carry is too much. Too much. Don't call people in property and not too small.
Over the years, we have lost a lot due to flooding. That is why we try to always bank our shops to prevent it, but to no avail. We are afraid as the rains have started. We think it's the recently constructed fuel station that has blocked the waterway, and we want that to be addressed.
And now this petrol station where they don't get, see they send the power in the pit. That's how they don't make sure. Hang up for Camona.
For educate the people, vendors being for the people, let them help me. You understand where they get at and make them left for children when we in the camp.
Usually, we only get support after flooding, and by then our properties would be destroyed. All we want is for the council to ensure that education on waste disposal is done and also ensure dustbins are in every location.
All before this new road not been there. Now they don't come make this hill bypass road. All the gutter and connected on Samba Gutter.
As the raining season is fast approaching, residents are calling on the City Council and other relevant authorities to work in solidarity in addressing waste management in order to prevent flash floods in coming months. For SLBC, Julian Dumbuya.
Meanwhile, residents of Eastern Street along the Hillside Bypass Road are ramping up their preparedness efforts to prevent flash floods they experience every rainy season. Aminata Saise has the details.
Freetown has begun experiencing the rains even in April when it began raining in the capital Freetown. Many citizens living along waterways and other flood and disaster-prone areas become restless, reflecting on their past experience. Drivers, riders and business owners at the Hillside Bypass Road said Freetown City Council and other authorities should help them to mitigate the negative impacts of heavy rainfall. Among them is Sulaiman Kamara, a bike mechanic who expressed frustration.
Especially this Eastern Street area, whenever there is heavy downpour, there is a blockage because of the garbage coming from hilltop communities. It is causing serious problem for us.
A community resident, Fatmata Sise, also called for urgent intervention from authorities.
We that are staying in the hilltop are facing serious challenges. Whenever it rains, people drop their garbage in the drainage. We usually clean and pay those boys that are in charge of garbage. It's really affecting us.
Meanwhile, a bike rider, Sulaiman Blah, shared his struggle, saying the engineer of the road did not study the road setting before paving.
They are more than able for cleaning.
They should be cleaning this area every month and should not be limited to the raining season. The Freetown City Council should organize that. Since they opened this road, I only saw them cleaning here once. The garbage settles here, and even the zebra sign is no more because water has washed it away.
Even the zebra line, they don't with water.
The residents are hopeful that their voices could be heard before the rains. They need immediate action to improve drainage and prevent flooding. SLBC News are in Freetown. Aminata Saise reporting.
Sierra Leone's ambassador to Turkey, Her Excellency Frances Virginia Anderson, has accompanied and welcomed the first batch of Turkish investors to Sierra Leone, marking a significant step in ongoing efforts to strengthen bilateral economic ties and attract foreign direct investment. The visit, facilitated by the Sierra Leone Embassy in Turkey, highlights the mission's expanding role as a strategic economic hub in advancing Sierra Leone-Turkey relations. In accordance with diplomatic protocol, the investors' first official engagement was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, which coordinates the activities of Sierra Leone's mission abroad. This development builds on the momentum generated by the Sierra Leone-Turkey Investment and Trade Seminar held in Istanbul in May 2025. In the conference room of the Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, officials addressed the media to present updates on the Song of Jama Theatre production, women's leadership in tourism, and a pipeline of major national and international events slated for 2026. The briefing underscored the government's shift from basic tourism promotion to making culture, creativity, and inclusion central to economic and social development, and positioning Sierra Leone as a more visible destination on the global stage. Esther Sako was there for the SLBC.
The press conference spotlighted The Song of Njama, a full-scale theatre production that tells the story of a woman who sacrifices herself to end war and division in her homeland. Officials describe the play as a powerful narrative about love, reconciliation, and reconnecting with one's root, saying it aligns with the ministry's broader agenda of using culture and performance to drive employment, creativity, and national cohesion.
Is a story of Sierra Leone, so it is a direct intersect of the ministry's goals for this year. As a Timi proverb, it says, you cannot know where you are going if you don't know where you have come from.
Fatma Amida Keru, General Manager, Tourist Board, reported that participation in recent international platforms such as WTM Africa is already yielding results. She noted that travel operators, media houses, and development partners from across Africa, Europe, America, and Asia have shown interest in collaborating with Sierra Leone, with many expressing intent to include the country in their tour packages.
The ministry and its agencies were working relentlessly, tirelessly to ensure that Sierra Leone is positively showcased in the global map. We are at the WTM Africa when the BBC News came out that Sierra Leone is ranked among the growing tourist destination in terms of tourist arrival for Africa.
The ministry also announced several upcoming events designed to anchor culture and tourism as pillars of national development. Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs Nabila Farida Tunis said 2026 has been framed as a year of identity, enterprise and expression, with Sierra Leone's youth and cultural diversity positioned as key assets. She said the ministry is working to ensure that music, theater, fashion, gastronomy, storytelling and heritage festivals are not only showcased domestically but also marketed to international audiences.
These initiatives, we need these events so we could work together more closely and really lift our people out of poverty, because there's so much to explore, there's so much that can be done within this space here. And so we do welcome several other contributions of this nature. We're looking for partnerships, we're looking for collaborations, and we're hoping that this collaboration will certainly overturn the industry, make it more productive, more engaging, and more impactful.
Among them are the Truth Beats competition, a creative spin-off of the One Nation Reggae Festival that will feature young performers blending Sierra Leonean traditional instruments with reggae. The One Nation Festival 2026 scheduled for November 25th to 30th, and the 3rd UN Tourism Gastronomy Forum, which will be hosted in Sierra Leone in partnership with UN Tourism. The briefing also highlighted the ministry's focus on women in tourism, citing the ongoing work of the Women in Tourism and Leadership Africa Committee, which seeks to increase women's access to finance, leadership roles, and decision-making positions in the sector. The ministry called on the media and social media partners to help tell Sierra Leone's tourism and cultural stories accurately, arguing that genuine narratives about heritage, creativity, and community life are essential for attracting sustainable tourism and investment. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
Audit Service Sierra Leone says 44 institutions failed to submit their 2025 financial statement reports as required by law. The submission of annual financial statement is a core accountability requirement under the Public Financial Management Act and the Audit Service Act, which mandates timely reporting to ensure transparency in the use of public funds. In an interview with Yusuf Mosiri Suma, the Senior Communications Officer Martin Sandi speaks on the mandate of the Audit Service and the penalties for these institutions moving forward.
Well, the mandate of Audit Service Sierra Leone emanates from the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone, Section 119, Subsection 2, which gives the Auditor General the power to audit all government institutions in the country. And subsection 4 states that the Auditor General should submit his audited financial statement to audited reports to Parliament, and that's exactly what the Auditor General has been doing.
So let's discuss around the 2025 financial statements, which from your office, there are some MDAs that failed to, present their financial statement 2025. So take us through.
According to the Public Financial Management Act, it states that public enterprises should submit their financial statements to the Auditor General for audit purpose before the 31st of March every year. They should submit their financial statement for the previous year. And even the Audit Service Act, as amended, also states that they should submit their financial statement to the Auditor General before the 31st of March. Notwithstanding that, even the very act that created these institutions also has a portion that states that they should submit their financial statement to the Auditor General for audit purpose. So we realize that after the 31st of March, these institutions failed to submit their financial statements. So the Auditor General thought it fit that let me just give them a grace period of 1 month. And during that grace period, we also engage them, calling them, reminding them to submit their financial statements. So after the grace period, after the 30th of April, we put out a public notice indicating those institutions that have failed to submit their financial statements. So we are talking about 44 state-owned enterprises and 14 local councils.
So let's discuss on local councils. These 14 local councils include which ones?
The 2 councils in Putloko, the 2 councils in Bond, Moyamba District Council, the Kenema District Council, Bo District Council, Freetown City Council, Western Area Rural District Council, 14 of them.
So, what's the next step from for audit service for these MDAs that failed to submit their financial statements for 2025?
Auditing is not a witch hunt. The next step is the Auditor General will now use his power again in line with the Audit Service Act, the Public Financial Management Act, by writing to the Accountant General to withhold the salaries and other benefits of the vote controllers. So that's the next step.
What was the feedback or the response you got from these MDAs as to the reason they didn't actually submit their financial statement?
There are reasons that they will give, doesn't matter actually. So it's
no reason for delay of submission?
Some will give just flimsy excuses. But all we know is we want the financial statement and we want to carry out the audit.
So amongst the 44 that failed, are these government institutions?
Yes, state-owned enterprises.
Namely?
Sierra Leone Roads Authority, Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, NACSA, National Mineral Agency, about 44 of them which I cannot give you off already.
Well, that was the Senior Communications Officer, Audit Service, Sierra Leone, Martin Sandi. In case you've just joined us, you're watching News Hour live on SABC Television in Freetown. We continue with more stories. Accountability advocates, including the Budget Advocacy Network and the non-state actors, have called on Audit Service Sierra Leone and the Ministry of Finance to withhold the salaries of vote controllers in institutions that fail to submit their financial statement to Audit Service Sierra Leone within the legally mandated time frame. The call is coming following the non-compliance of 44 public institutions which were to submit their financial statements for auditing purposes to the Audit Service Sierra Leone. Emmanuel Samora has more.
Under the Audit Service Act, public institutions are required to submit their financial statement within 3 months after the end of the financial year. This requirement is considered a key pillar of accountability, ensuring that entities entrusted with public resources report transparently on how those funds are collected, managed, and spent. However, officials report that this obligation continues to be widely ignored. This year alone, 44 institutions have reportedly failed to comply, making it difficult for auditors to carry out their work effectively. Accountability advocates warn that persistent non-compliance undermines transparency and weakens oversight of public funds. Both Budget Advocacy Network and the non-state actors are now calling on the Ministry of Finance and Audit Service Sierra Leone to take decisive action against defaulting institutions, among which is the withholding of salaries of vote controllers in institutions that fail to meet reporting requirements.
So for us, the penalties are there. Section 3G is there that says they should insert this section which says if a public official fail to respond or fail to submit their annual financial statement, audit service should withhold their allowance.
It is not only the institution that should be penalized, the official that is responsible to make sure that things are done fails to do that, he or she must be penalized equally. And that penalty should speak very loud so that the next person coming to take that seat will take caution.
They argue that without timely financial reporting, auditing becomes significantly constrained, limiting the ability to detect mismanagement or inefficiencies. The delays are also expected to impact the audit service's ability to meet its own statutory deadline of producing the annual audit report by December 31st. Emmanuel Samoa, SLBC.
In November last year, President Bio appointed engineer Tideni Hawa-Jabi as the first female managing director of Salwako since its establishment. 6 months into her appointment, Madam Jabi has made series of achievements by increasing revenue generation to 15% and introducing robust financial and functional management, among others. Speaking to the SLBC, Engineer Hawa Jabi said, her management has developed and launched a 5-year strategic plan that serves as a blueprint for Salwako, designed to enhance distribution of water supply to rural areas and the commercialization water service supply in the country.
Firstly, I want to say a very big thank you to His Excellency the President, retired Julius Maada Bio, for creating the enabling environment for women to attain leadership roles. We've achieved a few things. The first and foremost was the assessment, which I say is the building blocks. And then after that, one of the quick wins recommendations that came out of that assessment was the development and operationalization of an innovative billing and revenue management system. Salwako is a water utility and it should generate revenue. But over the years, Salwako has been, lacking in that area. It has not functioned as a proper water utility. So it had deviated from its primary mandate, which is the provision of water supply and sanitation services to the provincial areas apart from western area. So it had deviated. So we wanted to bring Salwako back to its original state and see how it can be a functional and a financially viable institution. So when I came, I found out that based on the assessment, Salwako does not have an integrated or a smart revenue management system. So they have 3 stations that were using smart systems and 7 stations that were using manual Excel spreadsheets. From a perspective of utilities management, you cannot, ensure financial management or proper revenue management using it on a manual basis. So this system focused on putting in a robust and smart commercial management system that allows for us to manage whatever revenue measures or systems that we want to put in place. We've been making strides towards ensuring we transform Salwako into a functional and financially viable institution. One of the things that we quickly put together is a robust billing and revenue management system. And over the past 5 months, since I took over, the past 6 months, I would say November to April, we've had an increase in revenue by 15%. It might seem minimal, but it is something, and it shows me that the future is bright for Salwako. For the first time in over 3 years, Salwako break even with its revenue generation. That is also another significant milestone to note. So that is one of the achievements. Another achievement is the enhancement of Salwako's organizational model. So for us to ensure that we carry out our service delivery effectively, the structures that are put in place needs to be properly, done. So we had to enhance the organizational model through the operating core. We enhanced the utilities operations because this is something we want to focus on. We enhanced the technostructure that is focusing on planning and developmental initiatives because these feed into the operations and seeing how, we could make sure we enhance service delivery. So that was also enhanced upon. And that has yielded in us seeing an increase in our revenue generation drive. Another thing that was achieved is the development of our 5-year strategic development plan. One of the outcomes of the organizational assessment that I did, it showed that Salwako lacked the requisite strategic direction. What does that mean? Interventions had been done on an ad hoc basis. So everybody just comes, reacting rather than being planned and proactive. Since 2022, when the last strategic direction of Salwako expired, they had not had one. So we put together a 5-year strategic development plan for the period 2026 to 2030 that was launched in March 2026. Another achievement is that we are currently reviewing the Salwako Act of 2017. One of the outcomes, again, of the organizational assessment indicated that the enabling environment to give Salwako the legal authority to operate effectively is being stifled. So we want to ensure that we have our act revised.
That was Engineer Tideni Hawa Jabi, Managing Director of Salwako, highlighting some of her achievements since her appointment by President Bio. The Sierra Leone Urban Research Center, in collaboration with the Institute of Gender and Children's Health Research and Center of Dialogue in Human Settlements and Poverty Alleviation, has organized an intervention inception workshop. They came together to strengthen responsiveness of health services to extreme weather events, otherwise known as Urban Shade Project, to address critical challenges faced by communities, specifically climate challenges in informal settlements. Stella Bangura tells us more.
Strengthening responsiveness of health services to extreme weather events or urban shade is a call for collaborative action, with all stakeholders bringing different perspectives together, gearing towards developing a collaborative document and data to safeguard urban areas. According to Director of Research and Training, Sierra Leone Urban Research Center, Brahima Kuruma, the workshop was organized to introduce the project and share progress made so far, clarify roles and responsibilities across participating institutions and the context of extreme weather events, preparedness and response, and to formalize partnerships through a memorandum of understanding while establishing a stakeholder working group. During the workshop, Dr. Abu Conte, Senior Researcher, Sierra Leone Urban Research Center, gave a breakdown of the project and progress made so far during the last years.
So it's a multidisciplinary research project, across 3 middle and low-income countries, where we are doing participatory research to really understand the lived realities of how climate change interacts with different layers of vulnerabilities to intensify the impact on people living in vulnerable settlements. Where we have community members whom we refer to as co-researchers who are working directly with us, so they are really embedded. But in terms of the urban or city stakeholders, we have engaged different stakeholders, including the Meteorological Agency, the National Disaster Management Agency, National Public Health Agencies, to be able to bring on board, the diversity of those voices, to see how climate change is shaped from those different lenses.
For the presentations on key findings from Phase 1, Dr. Desta Ali explained about communities' understanding of climate risk, health impact of extreme weather events, and disaster preparedness response and support systems, amongst many. Participants commended the initiative, giving feedback on findings, and explained how the Urban Shade Project has contributed to their communities.
Previous years, many NGOs and other partners go into the community, do their research, leave the community without involving community people. And we know that we that are living in the community, we are the problem and also the solution. So being part of this project as a co-researcher, we help to mobilize community members.
We expect the data we don't get from the research and go be used meaningfully for impact the community.
Na side we no say the cover, understand? And we in a community where we go up the hills, you go meet poorer people than downstairs. So now the problem that way they happen, we get flooding, we get house problem. People can just knock but no more than they go attack, I sweep, they go with them.
The Urban Shade Project is a 3-year project which started in 2024 and set to end in 2026, with 3 participating countries, Sierra Leone, India and Kenya, to address climate change-related events. Led by Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, the research team is working collectively with community members, making them part of the research. The project targets 3 communities, CKG, which refers to Crab Town, Collet Town and Greybush Community, Susans Bay and Moiba. It is anticipated that participants from communities gather information, participate during the implementation and disseminate the information to fellow constituents in their various communities so as to swiftly address climate-related challenges and be prepared in cases relating to climate change. Reporting for SLBC, Stella Bangura.
Time now for our segment, and we start with the international news update.
This is the international news, and I am Stella Bangura. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called for the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened as soon as possible in talks with his Iranian counterpart. Wang Yi also told Arakchi that achieving a lasting ceasefire was an urgent priority, saying it was important to persist with negotiations. He added that Beijing was ready to help de-escalate tensions. On the issue of the strait, the international community shares a common concern over restoring normal and secure navigation through the strait, and China hopes relevant parties will respond as soon as possible to the strong call from the international community. Wang also added that China appreciated Iran's commitment not to develop nuclear weapons, Chinese state media reported. Burkina Faso's military rulers ordered on Tuesday the dissolution of around 200 associations, the latest clampdown on civic groups in the West African country. In total, the Sahel country suspended 205 associations, all based in Burkina, involved in health, education, women's rights, famine, the environment, culture and sport. International NGOs and charities that receive foreign donations are regularly accused by the junta of spying or collusion with jihadists fighting the army. In April, Burkina Faso's military authorities already banned several hundred associations, many of which involved in human rights work, from operating across the country. Cameroon has moved to take full control of its main electricity provider and distributor after President Paul Biya signed a decree approving its renationalization. The announcement comes as the country's energy sector faces serious challenges, including frequent power outages, with the generation failing to meet growing demand. Energy of Cameroon is the backbone of the country's electricity sector, holding a monopoly over distribution while operating dozens of power generation plants. ENEO has been rebranded as the Cameroon Electricity Company, with the Minister for Water and Energy making key appointments as a first board meeting of the new entity. And finally, for the international news, the publication of election results in the Central African Republic has been suspended following a strike by staff of the National Election Authority, adding fresh uncertainty to the country's fragile political process. According to several ANE employees, IT specialists at the institution's data processing center are refusing to release the results of the second round of municipal, regional and parliamentary elections held on the 26th of April. The results had initially been expected on Monday, but have been delayed over 2 months of unpaid salaries. Staff says salary arrears affect all employees, and while delays in payment are common in the country's struggling public sector, the current situation is unprecedented in scale. The Central African Republic remains one of the world's poorest nations, and strikes among civil servants, including teachers and administrative workers, have been frequent. And that's the end of the international news, and I have been your presenter, Stella Bangura. Stay tuned.
Up next is the entertainment update.
Hello and And welcome to Entertainment News with me, Sulaiman Babature. In this edition of Entertainment News, Cardinal links up with legendary Ami Kalong on song titled Unity. Incredible JJ hosts a listening party for his EP, The Mart. And finally, the Met Gala ends in a grand style. It's a big hit loading as the legendary Black Cleo King, Mr. Buff Case 007 James Bond, the Ambassador of Entertainment and Investment Amara Dennis Toure, aka Carl De Niro, links up with Sierra Leone's legendary female singer Ami Kalong, who have been behind the scene for a very long time. The title of the song is Unity, and it preaches peace and togetherness in Sierra Leone regardless of your region or tribe. The song is a vibe, a really good, and don't forget it's a soul vibe stuff. Let's get it because the teaser is on social media.
Just open it, I didn't to step in it. Unity better than division. No wants me. Yeah, me need to marry Timmy. Timmy married me there. I come all lungi, but my best buddy, come on share again. How they predict the future like that man really trade your head. Rams but cool like sleep press when they get to every day. Yama so engele, Yama so engele, Yama so engele, Yama komi ho, Yama so engele, Yama so engele, Yama so engele.
It's really a vibe, and fans and music lovers are on social media, praising, lifting, and dashing praises on Carl De Niro for his consistency and artistry quality in dropping hits, bars, and lyrics. It's really superb. And now, incredible JJ, you know him, James Kaisamba Jr., held a listening party for his EP, The Mart. It was a mashup event because the party was attended by government officials like the Chief Minister, Minister and Deputy Minister of Tourism, including one of our greatest football legends, Kai Kamara, and a host of artists, Ellie J, The Therapist, Drizzly, Aminish, SL King James, and a host of them went to grace the program patronized with a superstar, Incredible JJ. The star has also released a song list of his EP. Among them are songs like Crush featuring Jay-Zino from Liberia, City Bill featuring Kimbo's Ellie, Love Code, Mode, and Novice. There are 7 songs on the EP, and we know Incredible JJ to be giving hit after hit. Free time I'm coming, no, when I receive me Safulo, got this baba want for blow. And finally now to where fashion meets art and where style and creativity is celebrated. The 2026 Met Gala concluded in New York, America in a grand and sparkling way as stars took the red carpet with inspiring and golden display to showcase their stylish costumes. From Rihanna and A$AP Rocky to Beyonce and her family to Teyana Taylor, Cardi B, Tyler, and Vera Wang. It was really great seeing the dresses, the fashion, the style, damn, creativity, art, and fashion. It was really great. Well, this is all we have for this edition of Entertainment News. I've been your presenter, Sulaiman Babature. Thanks for watching, and keep watching the SLBC. Bye-bye.
And now to our final segment, the sports update.
Hello there and welcome along to the sporting updates that keeps you in the know. And by the way, my name is Abdul Kabir and thank you so much for your time. We begin with cricket in this edition. Now, Cricket Sierra Leone has announced that over 38,400 girls from across the country will benefit from an ICC women's scheme. This will help to project the game in the country and also to attract school-going kids. And this is a move that is timely and significant in a bid to help improve the game and also to help youngsters meet and exceed their aspirations in sport. Now in football, Arsenal has defeated Atletico Madrid to secure their spot in the Champions League finals. Well, the road to Budapest wasn't an easy one. They fought really hard and they played everything out to secure the important qualification. The North London drought is officially over for the first time in 20 years. Arsenal has advanced to the UEFA Champions League final. In a night of pure tension and tactical brilliance, the Gunners overcame Atletico Madrid, ending a 20-year wait that has spanned generations of fans. Despite the heartbreak of elimination, Tico boss Diego Simeone was nothing but professional, refusing to lean on excuses or VAR drama. He offered a refreshingly candid assessment. Controversies, nothing to say, were just out. Congratulations to Arsenal because they competed very well. We have a team and a coach that I like, and they follow a coherent project with strong financial backing. Congratulations to them, and we focus on our work. To put Arsenal's 20 years absence into perspective, consider the current squad. The current Gunners last stood on the stage of European glory. Some of the current starting 11 were just starting primary school. The younger stars were still in informative years. A few members of the squad weren't even born. After 224 games and 2 decades of rebuilding, the good times haven't just returned. They have just arrived with a bang. Arsenal isn't just in the final, they are storming it. The Gunners have turned into a nightmare for Spanish opposition. Arsenal are now just 1 game away from completing an historic and undefeated Champions League season. They are now unbeaten in their last 8 UCL games against Spanish sides. After over 200 games of searching, the ultimate prize is finally within touching distance. In 2006, it was heartbreak in Paris. In 2026, Mikel Arteta has this side playing with a coherent project that even the great Diego Simeone admires, with a blend of tactical discipline and clinical finishing. This Arsenal side looked prepared to go on further than the legends of the past. Atletico Madrid will have to regroup and go again next season, but for now, the spotlight belongs to the red side of London. The question remains, can the Gunners finish the job and leave their name in the annals of history? And that ends your update. Thank you so much for your time.
And now to end the news, the main points again. President Julius Maada Bio has pledged full government support for the revival of the Sierra Leone Telecommunications Company Limited, Sierratel. He made the commitment at the official relaunch of the state-owned mobile operator, which had been off the market due to financial and operational challenges. Some residents of Freetown have sounded the alarm for proper waste management ahead of the rainy season. The heavy downpour caused some disruption in the flow of traffic and other discomforts to many people. And some members of parliament from the opposition, All People's Congress, have paid a courtesy call on President Julius Maada Bio at State House. The delegation was led by the leader of the opposition, Honorable Abdul Kabo, after APC MPs returned to parliament following weeks of boycott. The meeting marked a shift from the standoff between the opposition and the government. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of News Hour. Thanks for joining us. My name is Daphne Zainab Kamara. Keep watching the SABC. Good night.